Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. We're back for a live call-in show. I am happy to be here. And the first thing we have been noticing about the NFL, well, I won't say we, I'll hear from you guys soon. But one thing I've been noticing about this offseason is all the quarterback drama. I mean, you got Brady re-signing. I mean, that's not too much drama, but that's definitely something that's positive. That's something that is really, really awesome. And it's something that obviously affects how we're going to view this as gamblers. And then you got the Russell America Wilson situation. And for me, I don't know where the hell Russell Wilson is going to play. And for me, him blaming Seattle for that team's situation for the lack of defense, I'm not a huge fan of that. And I'll get into it later, but that is one thing that is really bothering me because at the end of the day, that defense got better as the year went on. And Russell America Wilson, he ended up falling as the year went on. His performance really, really suffered as the year went on. So I was really, really concerned about that. I'm concerned about that as much as I am their crap defense. And Russell America Wilson is probably a top 5 quarterback, but I am starting to have a few doubts. But I don't think Seattle will trade him, although we've been seeing tons of rumors. I'd like to hear where you guys think Russell America Wilson's going to go. And now you go to the Deshaun Watson situation. And when I think about Deshaun Watson, I think of a future elite quarterback. And that's how highly I rate Deshaun Watson. I'm just wondering though, why would Houston feel pressed to trade him? We know what Deshaun Watson has said. We know how that story has been playing out. It's been a serious issue, lots of bashing the organization, but a lot of Deshaun Watson's criticism is correct. A lot of Deshaun Watson's criticism we've been talking about for what, 2-3 years on this channel. And I don't think he's getting out of there. I agree with Cash Money in the live chat. And what's up, Hector Perez? I don't think he's going anywhere, and I think it's a borderline pipe dream. But you have seen over the last month or two, correct me if I'm wrong, we've seen a lot of the media or even journalists, ESPN.com, what have you, a lot of them have been attacking the Texans. And that's fine. I've been attacking the Texans for 2 or 3 years. But a lot of it is pretty much pressuring the Texans to trade Deshaun Watson. How in God's name could they be able to get real value for Deshaun Watson? How are they going to be able to get his full value? First of all, you've got the draft coming up. Lots of quarterbacks in this draft. But the most important factor is when Deshaun Watson's saying, when Deshaun Watson's saying, listen, I won't play for this team again, that's when I raise my eyebrows, and that pretty much means that the Texans can't get full value from him. So so if I'm a Texans fan, I wouldn't worry about losing Deshaun Watson. That's where I'm at. I don't think he's going anywhere. What up, Mike Jones? What up, Mike Jones? Nice to see you, my man. And so now, and then another thing I want to talk about is the Dallas Cowboys. We saw they franchise tagged Dak. It is what it is, right? And Cowboys fans, I'm sure we've seen them on the internet, and I don't really hate Cowboys fans as much as other people, but we have seen pretty much the Cowboys linked to Russell America Wilson, and Cowboys fans were believing that was going to happen. Never was going to happen. But the Cowboys got their consolation prize, Dak Prescott, for another year. It is what it is. You know what? With this Dak debate, I hear people say he completely sucks, or people acting like he could be a top 5 quarterback. For me, he's just an average, mediocre quarterback at best, and that's fine. But overpaying for that is something you don't want to do. Okay, here we go. Please roast Trent Brown. I have seen what Trent Brown's been doing, but what specifically did he do that was roastable? I see he wants out of his contract. I know he got traded to the Patriots, and yeah, I like to move for the Patriots. I mean, Trent Brown is a little bit annoying. Don't get me wrong, and he is a little bit overrated, and I'll completely agree with all of that. But the Patriots getting him is good, and I agreed about the Patriots getting Cam Newton as well. I know I'm going to take a lot of flack for that, but we need to remember that we won a lot of money betting against the Patriots last year, but every time we did it, I always made sure to preface, I'm not really betting against Cam Newton as much as I am. I'm betting against this defense. I'm betting against this overrated. No, never betting against the hoodie, but I wanted to just throw that teaser out there. But most of all, we're betting against the Patriots offense. We're betting about the worst receiving. We're betting against the worst receiving core in the league. We're betting against one of the lesser run games in the league, even though I'm sure the stats will say they ran it decent last year. It was because they ran it so much because they couldn't throw a lick. What up, Anonymous? What up, Nick? Yeah. Oh, I remember Nick. Oh, the Colts guy. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we should definitely get a future show in. I don't have any of your information, so you're gonna have to hit me up about you're going to have to hit me up on Instagram so I have your information. And Dante Russell says it's hard to start over with quarterbacks unless it's Drew Brees or Tom Brady status. I agree, but I would have liked. I'm at the point where I would like to see Russell Wilson move. And I'm not blaming the Seahawks. I'm not going to do that tripe where I say the Seahawks haven't putting enough around him, because let's be real, they've had a pretty decent offense these last 2 years. Ever since Metcalf got added to that offense, that's been a pretty good offense. I mean, and you saw the defense improve as the year went on last year. That's where I'm at on that. And I wanted to come on here and just pretty much talk about the quarterback situation in the league. But that is, Dante's comment is probably the truth. We won't see a lot of action on these guys moving around. But I would like to see, for instance, here is an interesting rumor. Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins. That seems to be hinted. I don't know how much it would take to pry him away. I am rather curious to see how that would play out. But I would love to see what Deshaun Watson can do with this Dolphins team. I think he's an upgrade on Fitzpatrick. I think he's an upgrade on Tua. And I think the Dolphins are in a bad place with Tua. And it earned us money last year, and it will probably earn us money again this year if the Dolphins go straight ahead with the same plan with Tua. I think Tua's vulnerable. I think Tua's accuracy is a problem, and we heard how strong this arm is, but he never seems to really throw it down the field. We didn't see Devontae Parker have a good year last year. He was good when Fitzpatrick played, but that's because Fitzpatrick provides much better service and throws than Tua. And so I think this Tua is a trap for Dolphins fans. Everything seems to be going well, right? You got Flores, and we've been high on Flores since the beginning. Flores is a damn good coach, and you're getting talent. This defense is getting a little bit better. Flores has a good scheme on defense. You have tons of capital. You have some cap space, but I feel like they're getting themselves into a trap with Tua. I feel like the Dolphins are backing themselves up into a corner, and they're going to waste a big opportunity. We'll see if the Dolphins have the gall. We'll see if they're able to slice a throat. We'll see how cutthroat this organization is. but I don't know how cutthroat they will be. I don't see the Deshaun Watson there. I don't see the Russell America Wilson coming to Miami. I don't see them shaking it up. I don't see them drafting this other quarterback like some people are saying. I see them going forward with Tua, putting their head down, going forward with Tua, and that's where the direction I think they go. And will that play effect for them? Probably not. Probably not. Because say what you will about the Bills seem to look like they're strengthening. It looks like they are ready to pounce. Now, is there going to be a little bit of letdown from Josh Allen? I think so. But pretty much, I think the Bills will improve the offensive line a little bit. I think they'll improve that defense a little bit. So I think the Bills will get better in other areas than just Josh Allen slinging it for 400 yards a game. Because I think we're going to see a little bit of drop-off in him when it comes time for that. So that's where I'm at. We're looking at a Miami team that is going to have some challenges, and without a significant shakeup at this quarterback position, are they ready to maneuver it? I'm one of the biggest Fitzpatrick fans there is. We know he's better than Tua, but even as much as I love Fitzpatrick and with how good he is, let's say Fitzpatrick ends up getting a chance to come in there again. I don't know if that's more than 9 or 10 wins, and that's not enough to win the AFC East. On the way this AFC, the way this AFC is, it's a really, really deep conference. It's deeper than the NFC, in my opinion, and I think that's how it's going to play out this year. The Dolphins are going to have some serious issues and problems, and that's just being realistic. All right, so let me get to some questions. Daniel Galbraith says, agreed, Tua has no flash to his game. Yeah, it is a problem with Tua. And also, we hear how great he is at running it, and we have seen some of that. We have seen elements of it. But yeah, where's the flash? Where's the big plays we were promised? There's not enough big plays. And when you watch the Miami Dolphins with Tua, everything feels like it's played in a small little box. There isn't a lot of room. There isn't a lot of cutting edge. There's nothing that's shocking us on offense. I mean, you can look at that Fitzpatrick offense versus the Tua offense, and it takes no football genius. It takes no football acumen to understand which style was better served for this offense. And obviously it was Fitzpatrick. And so the Dolphins, they had a great season. Oh, I don't want to say great. Okay, let's not get crazy here. But they had a good season last year. And where did they end up being? They were sitting home watching the playoffs. And that's what happens when you're not cutthroat. That's why I am rather worried about this Dolphins team and how it's going to shake out. Josh Mitchell says, is your boy Drew Lock going to surprise you this year? No, it depends. Like, I think Drew Lock is below average, I don't even want to call him mediocre fodder, because is he even better than someone like Jameis Winston? I can't say that definitively. I mean, of course, Drew Lock won us money last year, and we can't take anything away from him for doing that. But I don't think he's good enough to be a starter in this league, and this is another Elway swing and miss. He does have elements. Like when you got Sutton, when you got Jerry Jeudy, those are nice targets. But even Jerry Jeudy was frustrating last year. Jerry Jeudy dropped so many balls, it really, really got frustrating. And we know Denver, they try to run the ball a lot, but it's not that dominant. And Melvin Gordon hasn't helped anything. So, but yeah, I think Drew Lock, he's going to play similar. It's going to be spotty and stop and start. We're not going to see a Josh Allen type rise from him. Let's just say that. Okay, here we go. Lawson, huge Eagles fan here. Would love to hear how you think about Wentz will do in Indy and how the Birds will do with Hurts. I am actually excited about this trade. Now, I think Eagles fans are going to have a little bit of remorse because Wentz is going to do some things with the Colts. We need to be realistic about that. Frank Reich has been coaching his ass off these last 2 years with the Colts, and that's why I'm excited to see it. And look at how good the Colts running game was. And I'm not saying Carson Wentz is going to go back to that dominant MVP type season when the Eagles had a good run game. Remember that? They were pounding people, and Wentz was just throwing it deep, scrambling for 30, 40 yards at a time. I'm not saying it's going to be like that with the Colts, but the Colts are going to be a fucking problem this year because they pretty much stole Carson Wentz. And everyone knows I never bought into the Colts hype last year. I never bought it. I mean, we were hearing Super Bowl as late as like week 15. We heard it. Any NFL fan was hearing that last year. So where we're at the moment, man, is the Colts are dangerous, and I think the Colts are a clear-cut favorite for the AFC South because Wentz is going to have a huge impact. I'm not saying he's going to get to that MVP status, but I think he's going to be pretty good. As for the Eagles, I'm genuinely excited about it because the Eagles needed to change their identity. The Eagles needed to be more physical. The Eagles needed to remember why they were able to get to that Super Bowl. Yeah, Nick Foles was pulling miracles. Yeah, they were throwing that thing around the park, but the reason why the Eagles got to the Super Bowl that year was because they had a good pass rush, and also they had a really dominant offensive line, and they knew how to run it. They ran it well and often, and they were physical and nasty about it. And that's the type of mindset you have to have in this league. If you don't have Tom Brady, if you don't have Pat Mahomes, you still have to do the dirty things. If you don't have guys like that, you have to get people in the dirt. You have to run it. You have to utilize play action, and you have to control games. Controlling games at the line of scrimmage is the best way to help a quarterback. Jalen Hurts actually assists in that. Did you see how better the Eagles looked with him? It wasn't because of Jalen Hurts throwing. It wasn't because the Eagles suddenly got better without Carson Wentz. It was because the main mentality changed. We saw Hurts carrying it 9, 10, 11 times a game. That big offensive line was getting physical. And then we saw more play action. We saw more trick plays. We saw quicker throws. There were so many times this year when Wentz was back there, they would send him on a seven-step drop, all deep routes, and the offensive line couldn't block a lick. How are you going to win that way? So yes, it's going to look it's going to look like Carson Wentz completely failed in that situation. But I think it's more complicated than that, and maybe it was more complicated than that because I think Pederson didn't just get fired for that choke job. I think it was more complicated than that. And maybe we have some answers why. Did any of you guys see that Eagles scheme? Like, remember when the Eagles went to play the Giants? Do the Giants have a good pass rush? No, maybe below average. Average if you're being very, very friendly and generous about it. How many times did the Giants hit Carson Wentz? And it really wasn't that Carson Wentz was holding on to the ball all that long. It was poor play design. It was poor blitz pickup. It was poor organization. It was poor offensive line communication. It was everything. And it looked like a complete destruction, chaos event every time they try to pass it. And every time they try to pass it, it'd be 3rd and 11. And then we kept hearing about Miles Sanders all year. He pulled a big runner. Remember when they beat the Bills, or there were some decent moments for Miles Sanders, but we never saw that run game materialize. So here's one of the situations that you're going to get where Hurts. It just fixes Doug Pederson's tendencies. We know Pederson's not the head coach anymore, but you can't throw it deep. You can't do 7-step drops with Jalen Hurts. Although Jalen Hurts has a pretty good arm, and I really liked his instincts. So I agree. Jim Schwartz was really, really underrated. Although this team, they just needed a revamp because ever since that Super Bowl, the ideas have stagnated. The teams look less competitive. And also, since I got Eagles fans in the chat, doesn't it seem like this team played with less overall passion since the Super Bowl win? I'm not trying to be lazy with this observation, but there are certain things you need to do to win games. And it's not just about pure talent. It's not about throwing it deep or getting a 60-yard touchdown. It's about doing little things and being gritty and fighting every second when you're out on the field. We just haven't seen enough of that from the Eagles. And I think Jalen Hurts will help. You remember that Eagles win against the Saints? I actually predicted that because I felt like this team was going to get back to fundamental running the football, a more balanced outlook. And that's what this team needs. I'm looking like, honestly, though, the Colts are going to be pretty good, man. We'll see how that plays out with Carson Wentz. I always would. I'm not just saying this with hindsight bias because you guys know I'll get on here and admit when I'm wrong. But I never really fully bought into the Carson Wentz hype, and I'm also not going to shit on him as much as other people because, like I said, there were structural problems with that Pedersen era, especially the last, year and a half, 2 years. So I think there's some stuff we don't know about that Eagle situation as well. Hopefully someone does like an expose and we understand what's going on. What's your Insta? It's just created an account. My Instagram is, let me post it up. Make sure you guys follow me there. Make sure you guys follow me there. NFL Podcast 101. Okay, let me get to more questions. Richard Edenfield, Wilson or Watson? Just, wow, that's a great question. I've never heard this question asked. I mean, I haven't been watching those morning sports shows of Stephen A. or Skip and Shannon. I haven't watched those in quite some time. So I don't know if they're talking about this, but give me a second because this is a serious question. Really good question. This is a really, yeah, dude. Yeah, Michael, man, I need to change my username because NFL Podcast 101. I didn't even know you could change your username on Insta. I look into that. Okay, so here's my problem with this question. We don't know how good Deshaun Watson's going to be, but as of right now, if you had to tell me who I would go with, I would go with Deshaun Watson. I would take Deshaun Watson over Russell Wilson, and I said this in the opening, but I'll rephrase this for you guys. I think Russell Wilson was probably the reason why the Seahawks didn't push far. Because one thing that really bothered me is we noticed that the Seahawks defense was getting better as the year goes on. Around like week 12, week 13, they started getting better. I'm not saying that defense is great. I'm not saying that defense doesn't have serious problems. But they actually did add some players late, and the defense got a lot better. But we saw Russell America Wilson, he collapsed in the second half of the year. He collapsed. And I know people are going to come out and say, Lawson, look at the stats. He didn't collapse. Man, he didn't look even close to as good in the first half of the season. And I don't think he was like reading ESPN and doing all that cliche stuff. But honestly, I think he was hearing the hype a little bit because ESPN was pretty much campaigning for him to be league MVP. And for me, it was ridiculous, even during the first 8 weeks. But he had a pretty damn good first 8 weeks. Then he completely fell off in the second half. So for me, that was the biggest problem. That was an absolute disaster. And for me, I'm riding with Deshaun Watson. I'm riding with Deshaun Watson on that one. But it's a really good question because if you go career, if you go resume wise, Russell Wilson's probably probably going to be the pick. But when I'm looking towards this future and how everything's going to play out in this league, I got to go to Deshaun Watson. Do you think fans of teams like the Titans and Packers will realize they're total frauds next year? But here's the problem. I agree with what you're saying about the Titans, but here's the problem with the Packers. They're probably going to win that division again. Unless the Bears do something big at the quarterback position, unless the Vikings somehow get a revival, they need to add so much. The Vikings need to add so much talent on defense. I'm throwing this out towards you guys. I mean, is there any way the Packers don't win the NFC North next year? I mean, they're heavy favorites, and I said they were heavy favorites. Well, I actually did it. I actually thought going into last year that it was going to be tight. I still felt like the Packers would win, but I felt like it was going to be tight. Packers will win it this year, unless we see some serious improvements from the Bears and Vikings. We can pretty much count the Lions out, and we've been counting them out. But this year, it's fair to count them out because they are finally rebuilding. Only Detroit fans and Matt Patricia's mom thought the Lions were going to push for anything the last 3 years. I mean, but they did spend a lot of money. So I'm not. So that's where I'm at with the Packers. As for the Titans, I think the Colts is a reality check for Titans fans because say what you will about Carson Wentz, but I think this Colts team is probably the most balanced team in the league at the moment. Balanced. I'm not saying they're better than the Chiefs or Buccaneers, but in terms of pure balance, the Colts are really, really good. And you saw how they were able to stick in with the Bills. Like, I never thought they were going to pull that upset like some people. But you look at how they played the Bills, and then you had a little Carson Wentz instead of Phillip Rivers' noodle arm. You had a little bit more mobility. You had a little bit more inspiration. You add another year of experience and get that big offensive line going for it in the playoffs. Man, it's not a bad situation to be in. And the Titans are a team that struggles with coaching too. And I have to agree with Michael Mann. Seattle has a coaching issue. I'm not even talking about Pete Carroll. It's just the offensive play calling was an issue. And that's something Pete's got to delegate. But yeah, that offensive play calling was horrendous. Parlays for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm actually going to be posting on Patreon tonight. But I'll go check. I'll get you something before the end of this podcast. Okay. Yeah, so that's where I'm at on the Seattle situation. And let me go I want to make a parlay because I had some games I was watching. I was just waiting for lineups to come out. One sec. Yeah, because I want to get a nice little parlay. Let me just get a glass of water real quick while I'm logging in. Okay, here we go. I actually think this will be fun. I don't know if any of you guys are even watching soccer, but and appreciate it, Michael, man. Appreciate it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, life's been good, man. And unfortunately, during the NFL offseason, there isn't an awful lot to talk about. But I'm going to keep coming on here. I just hope it doesn't hurt my algorithm. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't expect to get a lot of viewers during the offseason, but I'm going to keep coming on here because you guys force me to be sharp. And honestly, I wanted to get your opinions on some of this NFL quarterback drama. I mean, because it's always good to get thinking, and then also you have to get other opinions. One thing I will say, I don't consume a lot of sports media anymore. And I actually found that's helped the NFL gambling, believe it or not. Like, I'll have interactions with you. I'll talk sports with you. I'll read profootballtalk.com and just get base news of what's going on. You get a little bit of their spin to the news. But I don't like getting sports media news from the sports media landscape, because for me it just clouds things, and a lot of the opinions on there are low rate and just uneducated, and they say things just to get people pissed. So that's one reason why sometimes I'll be like a day behind on an injury, or a day or two behind on a quarterback change during the NFL season, because because pretty much I'm trying to watch as much film as possible. I don't really care if Tyrann Mathieu and Tom Brady got into a verbal argument during the Super Bowl. None of that stuff really matters to me, or I don't really care if Dak Prescott's feelings are hurt because he keeps getting franchise tagged. You guys know what I'm saying? Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it, my friend. I appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna go share my screen, and let's make a parlay. Let's I'm gonna make a parlay for I'm going to make a parlay for, let's get to it. I want to make a parlay for soccer. Like I said, there isn't going to be any NBA on this, but let's see. Let me show you some of the things I'm thinking about. Okay, so I'm going to go Brazil. Like I said, I have to go to things I know because this is what I've been watching. I don't like these odds. Like, look at this Asian handicap, the plus 0.5. Oh, at like minus 188. Like, that's not appetizing. If I had to pick this would be a draw. Okay, let's get to some others. I have to see the lineup for this, although this would be a good pick. Atletico Mineiro is really good, but how prepared are they for the season? Okay, because the season in Brazil just started again. The players didn't get a big break, and these are a different type of competition. So I don't like anything on this aspect. Although if I have to see Flamengo's lineup. Okay, let me go to English Premier League. I've been watching a lot of EPL. Like I said, not the biggest fan of it. I like it. Like, don't get me wrong. English Premier League is damn good, but this year has been so topsy turvy with COVID that it's really, really hard to predict. Chelsea and Leeds, man, Leeds, you don't know what Leeds is going to show up. But for me, I would have to go Chelsea because when you look at Leeds, you got Bielsa. He's really aggressive. We know how that goes. But I think Chelsea's going to hit him. Okay, I'm going to get to that. Let me get to Burnley, Everton. I actually think Burnley can get a draw, but I'm not feeling all that bold about it. Manchester City, just make sure you check the lineup on this, but taking them on the spread, they're coming off a loss against Manchester United. Fulham's really overrated. So to win this bet, since it's minus 1.5, you have to bet Manchester City pretty much has to win like 2-0, 3-0. I think they'll win by more than 1.5 goals. Like, I think they'll win by 2 goals. So I think that's a good pick. Southampton, Brighton. Dude, Brighton's got to win a game eventually. They've been playing really good. So Brighton to win at plus 156, you can add it to it. Okay, we got Tottenham, Arsenal. I got a draw. I think it's going to be a draw if you want to add that. I don't like adding draws to it too often. And then Leicester's going to beat Sheffield. Leicester's going to beat Sheffield. Sheffield's playing a little bit better, but they're going to be able to get it done. And let me add one more from Brazil because we got 4 on here right now. Let me add one more from Brazil. Let's see what we got. I was checking these lineups in Brazil earlier today, so I have a pretty good eye of what to look for. Okay. I like this. I like Gremio Novarizzancino plus 0.5 against Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo has a new manager. They're trying to change just about everything. Okay, let me get to one. Okay, let me see what else we got. I'm actually good with this. I could live with it. I just want to see the Copa del Nordeste. We might even have a money pick in here. Okay, this is interesting. Sierra against Altos. Okay, let me get to Confiance. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. Fortaleza. So we got a 16 parlay. Okay, we got Chelsea to win, Manchester City minus 1.5, Brighton to beat Southampton at plus 156, Leicester City minus 200, Gremio Novarizzancino plus 0.5 at plus 142. That's brilliant. Or you can get that at plus one. I guarantee you it swaps to like plus one. It's not going to be the same odds, but get plus one for a little bit of security. And then Fortaleza, this is my money pick. Even though it's minus 263, it's still good odds. They're going to beat the hell out of this team. Okay. So there's your parlay. There's your parlay. And Arsenal, Tottenham, I think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be a draw. Tottenham played really good last week against Crystal Palace, no doubt. But Arsenal, come on, man. I think Arsenal actually, I just think it's going to end up being a draw. And for some reason, my comment section froze. Okay. Double chance for Burnley. I would actually like that. Okay, let me think. Yeah, double chance for Burnley's not bad. Lots of unders and draws in Brazil. This is the state championships, though. So a lot of times there's a big difference between the quality of the teams, but it's something you can exploit because the bigger teams are normally less motivated. Like that was the one I hit with, like Gremio Novarizzancino. I'm hitting them. They've been training longer. They got better lungs under them. And like I said, Sao Paulo's in transition. So yeah, I like that. I'm gonna get in on this Burnley one. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off. Subscribe, hit the like button, share the videos. Let's see how this parlay does. Let's get it. Hit the like button, subscribe.